You know what? I'm sick of it. I'm sick of watching my guests have so much fun filling out a questionnaire and then going into a draft and executing all of their favorite ideas. And that's why today I'm the guest. We're doing my shit today, my favorite structure, my favorite player target, my favorite stack, favorite galaxy brain idea, and favorite 18th round low owned dart. We're going to hop in a sprint draft. This is a $50 contest on Underdog, and we're going to see how I do. Can I go and execute all of my favorite things to do in drafts? Or will it all get blown to pieces? Only time will tell. I'm Pete Overzet. This is the Deposit Kingdom. Let's do one final draft for Hot Best Ball Summer around here. We made it all the way to the end of Hot Best Ball Summer, and I said, you know what? I've been watching my guests have way too much fun filling out these questionnaires. I want to fill one out. I want to tell you guys my favorites right now with only a few days remaining before Hot Best Ball Summer comes to a close. And then I'm going to hop in a draft and see if I can execute my perfect draft. And what I think is fun about me doing this at the very end of the summer is some of my responses now would be much different than if I had done this earlier in the year. A couple of them would be very similar, and you'll see when I tell you my favorite player target. But that is kind of the entire point of thinking through a contest that you're drafting throughout the summer. And obviously Best Ball Mania is now closed, but there are these contests, and I'm going to hop in one today, the Sprint, which is very similar, that's been open all summer. And the things that drafters were doing in May, they don't have access to some of the things that we get to do now with the benefit of hindsight, how preseason shook out, how some of these depth charts shook out. So my questionnaire is definitely going to tilt in the direction of taking advantage of that new information. So let's get into it. My favorite structure. My favorite structure right now actually is going to look familiar to those of you who watched the draft video I did with Ron Stewart a little while back. And that is a 3-5-7-3 build. So 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, 3 tight ends. And what I love about this strategy is you can still get players with elite ceilings within the 3. You know, I can still take a Jaden Daniels, who is one of my favorite quarterbacks to target early. You can still take a guy like Brock Bowers as part of a 3 tight end room. A Jaden Daniels is part of a 3 quarterback room. And so you can get an elite ceiling there at the end of the season, right? That's what we're trying to do when we get to the fantasy playoffs. But I also love the idea of not only having extra shots at a unique quarterback or a unique tight end to help me advance through these pods. Because when you only have 2 players at one of the onesies, the ownership can often condense. If you nail the league-winning quarterback, that's great, except everyone's going to show up in your Week 15 pod with that other league-winning quarterback. So when you have 3 at either of these positions, it just gives you more avenues to being unique. And I don't think this year you have to sacrifice a ton of upside. I've been able to build 5 running backs, 7 wide receiver rooms that are really strong, and then get to take advantage of having the extra bullets at the onesie positions. As far as my favorite player target, this is one that has really not changed, and that is tight end Trey McBride. At the beginning of the offseason, we did make our video making the case for why elite tight end was the dominant strategy this year, and nothing has really pushed me off of that. And Trey McBride remains my favorite tight end to click. He's been there at the 4-5 turn all summer in Underdog drafts. I think he's just set up for a monster year. You can go back and watch that video. You can go back and watch our video where we gave our favorite player targets in every round. Trey McBride was my favorite, 4th round pick. Nothing's changed. I think Trey McBride is going to ascend into that uber elite tight end tier after this. I think he's going to be a 2nd round pick next year, maybe even a 1-2 turn pick. I think this offense is going to absolutely cook. I think they are going to be in tons of negative game scripts, tons of shootouts. And I think Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison can coexist beautifully. And Trey McBride's going to just have a monster season. So he remains my favorite player target. Love whenever I can add him to one of my teams. My favorite stack. So this honestly kind of dovetails with the 3-5-7-3, right? Where I want to get players with elite upside at the onesies, but I also can't be spending, a 4th round pick in general on, an elite quarterback and make this work, because I also need to be spending an early one often on these tight ends too. So something has to give. I think Jordan Love and the Packers are my favorite stack right now because they allow you to accomplish a few things. One, Jordan Love isn't priced in the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks, so you can do it on the cheap. And then on top of that, sure, you can stack him with Jaden Reed. You can stack him with Christian Watson. I like doing that too. But there are so many viable late stacking options as well that you can just start with Jordan Love and figure it out after the fact. You can take Dontavian Wicks around pick 115. You can come and get Luke Musgrave around 150. But my favorite two Packers to stack right now are Marshawn Lloyd, who's gotten incredibly cheap because it looked like he was going to open up the year on IR. That didn't happen. He was at practice as of yesterday. And sure, he might not play this week. He might not be a fantasy factor right away as we had hoped. But the prices now are as if he is not going to play for 4 weeks, as if he's on the pup list like Jonathan Stewart. He's hanging out in the 170s, 175, 180 in some of these drafts. So he is an awesome player to pair with a Jordan Love bet. And then the other one is Tucker Kraft, who's an 18th round tight end. He has been having an awesome camp, awesome preseason. All of the beats are raving about him. And while I do still think Luke Musgrave is going to get the first crack at tight end in this offense, I'm not so sure the ADP gap should be as wide as it is. So the fact that you can get Tucker Kraft, who hadn't been drafted in a lot of these contests early, and Marshawn Lloyd with essentially your 16th and 18th round pick, it makes stacking up Jordan Love so easy and so attractive. You can get access to what I envision being one of the best offenses in football this year at really cheap prices. So I'm loving the Packers stacks right now. My favorite Galaxy Brain idea, and I don't even know how Galaxy Brain it is. I don't think it's Galaxy Brain, but a lot of people push back on it. A lot of people don't like it. And so I'm going to float it here again. And that's stacking without the QB. This is, again, something Ron Stewart coined when we were doing our draft, the phantom stack. And here's my thought. A lot of people say, like, I'll use the example. I did a phantom stack in a draft earlier today where I didn't get Josh Allen, but I still took Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman. Here's the thing. I'm going to stack up my other QBs. I'm always going to have 2 to 3 QBs. I've done 0-1 QB builds. I've done 0-4 QB builds. I always have 2 to 3 QBs. I'm stacking those quarterbacks almost every single time. At maybe a 99% frequency, I'm stacking. That doesn't mean I want to stop stacking. I want to have stacks throughout my roster. And on that team I'm referencing right now, I did a second phantom stack. I had a Jonnu Smith and a guy who's going to be a spoiler in a second as one of another team stack. I didn't have Tua, but I had my other 3 quarterbacks stacked up, and I kept stacking because the benefits of correlation don't stop just when you don't have the quarterback. You continue to build out stacks. It eliminates the number of things we have to get right. And the reason I think it's kind of Galaxy Brain is because people don't want to do it. They reflexively don't do it either. It's almost like they wall themselves off from stacks if they don't have the quarterback. And I think this is a huge edge. I basically want my teams to look like little clusters of 7 or 8 teams at most. You got some Bills, you got some Dolphins, you got some Jets, you got some Lions. Boom, call it a day. That's your whole team. I don't want to have to hit an 18-leg parlay. Get this right on this team. Get this right on that team. No, when I grab just 2 players for one team, it is making a concentrated bet. It makes it easier for me to be right. And now let's move to my favorite 18th round / low own dart. And these two are super, super recent favorites of mine. And I don't even have a ton of them. But this is the benefit of recording on September 2nd. After all of this news, everything that's going down, I'm going to give 2 here. One is Samaje Perine, who is now one of the best picks on the board. Not only was he cut by the Broncos and signed by the Chiefs, but the Chiefs just placed Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the inactive list. He's not going to be able to play the first 4 weeks of the season. And now all they have behind Pacheco is Samaje Perine and Carson Steele. And I love the Carson Steele storyline, but the dude's a glorified fullback. Samaje Perine can give us Jerick McKinnon level production in this offense. I think he could eat into some of the passing work of Pacheco. I think he has massive contingent upside if Pacheco were to get hurt. And the fact that he hadn't been drafted in many of these early contests makes him an awesome pick. And the other one is wide receiver Malik Washington on the Dolphins. He's a rookie who's had a pretty good camp, had a really good preseason. Now Odell isn't going to be playing at the start of the season. He's going to be out on the field in 3 wide receiver sets right away. And we just haven't seen a really competent third pass catcher in this Dolphins offense since they have basically ushered in this era of Tua, Tyreek Hill, and Jaden Waddle. So I love the idea of selecting Malik Washington. He's a very low-owned guy. I think he's going to get on the field right away. The same reason we want Perine on the Chiefs. We want to take stabs as cheaply as possible at these, prolific offenses, and then we'll just see where the chips fall. And the fact that they haven't been drafted throughout the summer makes them very, very attractive targets. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to hop in a sprint draft. The sprint, for those of you guys not familiar, this was a contest that has been open all summer long on Underdog. It's only at 67% full, which means we might get some overlay. I think for some people, the $50 price point turned them off, which I certainly understand. But I loved this format. This is basically a contest that was created as a way to offset kind of some of the craziness of the pod dynamics within the typical tournaments. Now, I personally love the pod dynamics, but this is a good alternative. And basically what it means, you still have a 12-person league that I'm about to draft. The top 2 teams will advance to the playoffs, just like in Best Ball Mania. But now there are no pods for weeks 15, 16, and 17. All of the finalists go into one giant sprint. So you can see here on the screen, 2 of 12, and then 3,700 teams will be in the sprint. And it's just which teams do the best over the course of those 3 weeks. If you start slow, guess what? Your team isn't eliminated like it would be in Best Ball Mania if you have a poor week 15. If your team goes absolutely nuclear then in week 16, you can storm back on the leaderboard because you haven't been eliminated. You basically just have to get to the dance, and then you can see how things shake out. And this contest has a $100,000 top prize. If you get top 10, you're going to make at least $10,000 here. And I just think it'll be a fun sweat to know that you're never out of it. So I'm going to be putting in multiple entries into this contest over the next couple of days. And the other beauty of this is a lot of people are intimidated, like, oh, what's the sprint? Do I need some crazy different strategy? No, it's basically just like Best Ball Mania, except you don't have to worry about individual correlations. Like we've talked a ton about week 17. In this format, week 15 correlations are just as important as week 16. Week 16 is just important as week 17. Those 3 are split up. They're each worth 33%. You can correlate whichever ones you want. And I do think it becomes a bit of an edge to be willing to correlate week 15 and 16, because a lot of people will naturally correlate week 17, right? We all have it memorized. It's kind of an easy thing to default to. So I like this idea. Actually, to help me out here, I am going to throw up my overlay. This is the Draft Caddy, and that's going to always help me remember some of these week 15, 16, and 17 matchups. I got the 1-7 here, which I kind of like when I'm doing these challenges. It helps me be able to scoop up value. I don't have to reach as much to accomplish these things. And yeah, this will be fun. This is going to be my final draft video here on the channel until we start our in-season programming, which is going to be weekly Battle Royale strategy videos on Underdog. Those are their daily contests that they basically will have up for each week of the NFL season. And I'm excited to dig in and share my favorite plays and strategies for that contest. One interesting thing about these sprint contests is it is an entirely different contest, which means there's different ADP. This is not the same ADP as a lot of the other contests here. I am on the clock. I think I am going to take, even though Amon-Ra has the slightly higher ADP, I'm still a Justin Jefferson guy here. I'm going to take Justin Jefferson with my first pick. I mean, we made the video on the channel a month or so ago, my favorite picks in every round. I listed Justin Jefferson, and he falls here to 1-7 because Bric and Bijan went 5-6. I've noticed Jamar Chase falling a little bit. Like I said, I'm recording this on Monday evening. Jamar Chase falling because of potential holdout risk. You know, he's been at practice, but not practicing. You know, he obviously wants a new contract. There's some lingering fear as I record this that he might miss some time. But it's interesting then that he wasn't the one that slid. It was Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra. But I will happily start with Justin Jefferson here. And another nice thing about taking Jefferson, right? I said my favorite stack was Packers. So Justin Jefferson plays the Packers in week 17, which again, in this format, week 17 isn't all that matters, but it is still a correlation there. And it is worth checking on if I think I'm going to be doing a Green Bay stack to check out all their matchups. Week 15 against Seattle, week 16 against New Orleans, and week 17 against Minnesota. Underdog this week, they have a ton of promos going on. So make sure you guys are not missing any of the promos on Underdog. Tons of pick'ems, tons of boosts. They are doing tokens if you want to basically lower the number on some of these lines, which is pretty cool. Make sure you guys are checking all of those out in the lobby. And they have the new promo for new users. If you guys haven't dipped your toes in the Underdog streets, you can get up to $1,000 deposit match. It's wild. For a while, it used to be $250. Before that, it was $100, and now it's up to $1,000. So you use promo code Pete, you put $1,000 in, and they will match that. I am now on the clock, and by ADP here, we have some decent options. I try to, if I can, avoid doubling up at bye week. You know what? Even though his ADP has fallen a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and grab Chris Olave. Chris Olave plays Green Bay in week 16. I'm already going to start to kind of lay the groundwork here for a bit of a Green Bay stack. And, you know, one of the things that's been true all summer is just this tier being super flat. I like a lot of these guys in this range. Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, you know, Malik Neighbors is one of my favorite. So I will kind of mix and match as needed here. There wasn't a huge screaming value that I felt I would have been crazy to pass up on at 18. So we're going to pair Justin Jefferson with Chris Olave to get us started. To reiterate on this format, I do really think you can just approach it very similarly to how you would a puppy draft, a Best Ball Mania draft, basically any tournament draft. And instead of just being a slave to week 17 correlation, you can worry about week 16 and week 15. So I'm already just going to keep checking in on here. Chris Olave and the Saints, they play Washington week 15, Green Bay 16, Las Vegas 17, Minnesota. Of course, there's that quad where all of these guys round robin each other, Chicago, Seattle, Green Bay. So I'll keep an eye out for those two teams. One of the things you'll notice too, with my favorite structure being a 3-5-7-3, to get to say 5 running backs, it's harder to do full 0 running back, right? Because often when I'm doing 0 running back, I want at least 6 running backs, sometimes even 7. I'm going to probably want to make sure one of my first 6 or 7 picks is a running back just to facilitate the 5 running back build. And that hasn't been too hard for me. There's now targets I like at most of these pockets of the draft. Like looking here, 55, that could be James Cook. 66 could be a Kenneth Walker type. You know, a 79 could be a James Conner. Probably don't want to go too far. I think in a perfect world, I would get a running back through round 6, at least one. And we'll see here. Like if Kyron falls to me at 31, I will take Kyron there, despite the FUD about him being a punt returner. Nope, he does go. So the drafter who started with 2 running backs grabs a third there. I'm not going to do Pacheco because I do want to take Perine later in this draft. DJ Moore, let's do DJ Moore. We're talking about correlation here. Chicago plays Minnesota in week 15, which is a nice correlation. There's no overlapping bye weeks here. Let's do that, and we'll keep trying to correlate as much as we can across this entire playoff trio. I've done over 300 plus drafts, and I put out my questionnaire with my favorites, and I want to try and go out and execute them. That's kind of what's fun to me right now. Let's see if we can pull off my 3-5-7-3. Let's see if we can grab Trey McBride. Let's see if we can get a Packers stack. Let's see if we can stack some without the QB. And let's see if we can get Malik Washington and Samaje Perine. Let's see if we can do the whole shebang. Wow, someone took Trey McBride. All right. The plan's already going up in flames. Look at this. I completely jinx myself. I'm like, I never see Trey McBride go this early. And in this drafts, is Mama Booze listening to me? Come on, Mama Booze. Zay Flowers goes. We could basically just swap out Travis Kelce for Trey McBride. But man, I'm not a huge Travis Kelce guy. I also have another week 6 bye. T. Higgins has another week 12 bye. We'll grab T. Higgins. No additional correlation there. That was tough. There were no strong correlated plays there for me to make. And I was definitely shook by Trey McBride not being there. But I'm happy to get T. Higgins. This is a wild draft. So the team next to me has started 4 straight running backs. The team next to them has 3 running backs through 4 rounds. So they're making it tricky for me to be able to pull this stuff off. Man, there are 4 teams that only have 1 wide receiver through 4 rounds. That is very unusual for underdog drafts. Team 12 only has Marvin Harrison. Team 9 only has AJ Brown. Team 6 has no one. And Team 5 has Mike Evans. Getting sniped on the elite tight end isn't the worst thing when you're trying to do a 3-5-7-3, right? Because you know you're going to use 3 stabs at it anyways. I like having some upside in the tight end room, even though I'm going to get 3. But it's not a big deal for this video. It's just sad. We have a red check mark over here next to Trey McBride when that was going to be the one thing I tried to execute. I think this is where we get a running back. I love Xavier Worthy, but I would rather be able to get one of these running backs. But man, James Cook, I have the double bye. I do really like Kenneth Walker. Let's just lock up Kenneth Walker. Here's why. Kenneth Walker plays against Green Bay in week 15. He goes against Justin Jefferson in week 16, and then goes against DJ Moore in week 17. So we're just going to reach by a smidge here to lock up Kenneth Walker. Really helps us accomplish a lot of the correlation across all 3 of those playoff weeks. I basically want to come out of, the first 8 or 9 rounds with at least 1 quarterback, at least 1 running back, at least 1 tight end, giving me upside at all of those positions, but then allows me to still build out around it with my kind of preferred structure of the 3-5-7-3. So we'll see if I can get Pitts here. Picks past ADP feels nice. Yeah, let's do it. That works out well. So even though I didn't get Trey McBride, this ended up working out decently. Like the 2v2 is Trey McBride and JSN, who are 2 of my favorite players, versus T. Higgins and Kyle Pitts. And yes, I do like the Trey McBride side a smidge more, but I mean, T. Higgins and Kyle Pitts, can't really complain there. I really appreciate everyone who supported the channel this summer, spent a lot of time and effort doing lots of recorded, produced content over here, tried out a bunch of stuff. Of course, these draft streams, strategy videos, collaborations with people throughout the best ball space, even some comedy videos like my Best Ball Bros. So it's been a blast. I want to shout out the editors, Buck, who has been doing all of these draft streams. Also my guy, Chris Moreno, who does all the thumbs and does all of the strategy videos. Just awesome work by those guys. And yeah, it's been so fun. I'm excited to keep it rolling. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. You can always check out my live streams over on that other YouTube channel. I always describe for them over there what's going on over here. So I want to do it both directions. That other YouTube channel is exclusively for live streams. All of my pre-recorded and edited content will always be over here. Is Christian Watson going to fall to me? This would be sweet. Please, Heath, let me have Christian Watson here. This would work out extremely well. Yes, this is beautiful. So the one thing I have to worry for is that, and I think I know this username, Fantasy Football is Fun. I believe this drafter is in the Ship Chasing Discord. They have Jaden Reed here. I'm a little worried that they might take Jordan Love at 86, which would be a bummer to already lose out on my favorite stack. They also have a bunch of other stack outs, right? They got Caleb Williams. They got Kirk Cousins. They got Matthew Stafford. Okay, they take Ramondre. Here's the sweat at 86. If I don't get Love, I'll be able to get Burrow with T, which again, isn't bad at all. It's just once I say I want to do a Jordan Love stack, I really want to be able to do it. He did it. I knew that was going to happen. I thought maybe he'd sit on it and not reach with the 3 other quarterback options. Seeing this red check mark over here is going to tilt me. We're still going to build an awesome team. I knew that was going to happen. Fantasy football is fun? No, fantasy football is not fun. But we're still going to basically accomplish the same thing that we're trying to with a 3-5-7-3 with Joe Burrow, which is, again, it'll be a 3 quarterback room, but the upside that we can get with Joe Burrow is still really nice at these prices. What also is tilting is if I had Trey McBride, Kyler would have came all the way back. Like, this is a nuts fall for Kyler here. Kyler all the way at 90. I don't know. I don't love backstacking Kyler. Yes, you can do Dortch. Yes, you can do Michael Wilson. Maybe that's a blind spot for me. This looks really good, right? Because Sam Darnold with Justin Jefferson, we can do Derek Carr with Chris Olave. We still might do Caleb Williams with DJ Moore. We can do Kirk Cousins with Kyle Pitts. So we just have a ton of options at quarterback here. This is such a good spot for running back. I think I need to take a running back here. If Caleb wants to come all the way back around to 114, but because we have all of those other options I mentioned, Darnold, Carr, Cousins, I don't think I need to force my second one here. So let's see. ADP, Tony Pollard is the faller. We have no overlapping bye week and a couple of correlations here. Plays Cincy in week 15, which is our main stack. So I like that a good bit. Let's go ahead and grab Tony Pollard here. A guy I like a good bit, and then getting the discount is a nice bonus. There goes Caleb Williams to the same drafter who sniped me on Jordan Love. So I'm going to like the running back I get here. This is going to set me up well to get my third running back. And then I'm basically perfectly balanced for the last 8 rounds. Yeah, so we'll grab Zach Moss here now at this price. It is hard for me to pass on Jonathan Brooks. I love Brooks, but on this team where I have the Burrow stack, I do really like getting the pass catcher. This was one of the things Sacrilegious said in his video, getting the running back with the quarterback in the full-blown team stack there. So we add Zach Moss to the Joe Burrow and Higgins bet, which I like. And now we're up to Joe Burrow at quarterback, 3 running backs, Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, Zach Moss, 5 wide receivers, Jefferson, Olave, DJ Moore, Higgins, Watson, and Pitts, and perfectly on track for that 3-5-7-3 build. Not to remove too much drama here, but let's put in some of these favorites and see how this draft could play out. I don't mind going running back here. I think this is definitely a running back or wide receiver pick. I'm basically deciding between like a Benson or Polk, because both of these are going to would be my second to last at the position. I think I feel better about some of the running back options I'm going to have. So let's do Polk. Polk will be our 6th wide receiver, and then we will probably do Malik Washington as our final. This is going to be a simple decision for me here. I'm going to stack up Kirk Cousins with Kyle Pitts in the 12th round. And like I said, it's the freeing element of knowing you're going 3 quarterbacks. I do think I'll take Dobbins here. I think Dobbins would be the perfect 4th running back. He's been a guy I've been trying to draft more of, as it's become pretty clear he's going to be a big part of the offense to start the year. And yeah, we'll grab J.K. Dobbins here. So now we are hopefully done at running back and wide receiver, other than our 2 favorite, low-owned darts, Samaje Perine and Malik Washington. And now this is where we can really back this out, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 picks. We know one of them is hopefully Perine. One of them is hopefully Malik Washington. One of them is either Sam Darnold or Drake May. And then the other 2 are tight ends to get us to our 3 tight ends. These are the perfect spots to start ignoring ADP. There's a cliff that happens around pick 140 where ADP no longer orders these players correctly. It basically means all of these guys from pick 140 to 210 all have a similar probability of hitting. So, God damn it, Samaje Perine goes. Samaje Perine at 159 in my room. I can't believe we just couldn't go out with a clean stream. Now we're going to have patience, Pete. The whole point of this is just like, can we just have one fun draft? Is that too hard? I'm tilting. All right, I am on the clock. I was tilting so hard I was zoning out. I'm just going to lock up Darnold here as my last quarterback. I have to take Malik Washington next. If I get sniped on Malik Washington, I can't believe this. That Perine. It started with Jordan Love, then Samaje Perine at 159. I was like, yes, I realize people are hip to Samaje Perine. I thought he'd be here at 162. I'm taking Malik Washington. I'm on tilt. You guys thought you were going to get a well-composed video, final draft stream, Pete's preferences. No, it's all getting blown up. Just as the Lord intended. Yeah, we're taking Malik Washington. I don't trust this side of the board anymore. We're getting a green dot over here. We're getting a goddamn green dot. Come on, Malik Washington. Boom. We're going to do 1 more running back and 2 more tight ends. That's how we're landing this plane. We also need to get at least one stack without the quarterback, right? Hunter Henry would be good for that. Tucker Kraft, that's how we're going to get it. Tucker Kraft with Christian Watson, that's going to get us that. Juwan will also accomplish our stacking without the QB. Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson without Derek Carr. There's already like a couple mistakes. Like I kind of wish I would have just done Drake May if you're going to do the third quarterback as opposed to Darnold, take a bigger, higher upside swing. But I was on tilt. We're going to get Tucker Kraft. Now we've doubled up on our stacks without the quarterback. And this is a good example of how it works and why I really do like it a good bit. We have Joe Burrow with T. Higgins. We have Kirk Cousins with Kyle Pitts. We have Sam Darnold with Justin Jefferson. Okay, we're already good. We got 3 of our quarterbacks all stacked up with their top pass catchers. With all respect to Drake London. But that doesn't mean we have to stop stacking, right? We now have Tucker Kraft and Christian Watson because we got snipes on Jordan Love. We have Juwan Johnson and Chris Olave because we didn't want to add another, bye week issue there, week 12 bye week at quarterback. And so we still get the benefits of we're up to 5 double stacks, essentially. I wasn't going to draft 5 QBs, but I can draft 5 double stacks there. And I love the uniqueness angles that gives us in these playoffs when we get to this sprint. And then we will land the plane here with a running back. Cam Akers has been one of my favorite late round picks. It would be only fitting if I got sniped on Cam Akers here and had to scramble. No overlapping bye weeks with Akers, week 14, none of my other running backs. And we're going to get him. We're going to land the plane. We did get our 3-5-7-3. Here's the final team. Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold at quarterback. Running back, Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, Zach Moss, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Christian Watson, Jalen Polk, Malik Washington. And tight ends, Kyle Pitts, Juwan Johnson, and Tucker Kraft. As far as the checklist, 3-5-7-3, check. Favorite player target, Trey McBride, sniped. Favorite stack, Packers, sniped. Favorite Galaxy Brain idea, stacking without the quarterback. Yes, we did it twice with the Packers as well as the Saints. That's a check. Favorite 18th round low-owned dart, Samaje Perine, but Malik Washington gets the check. So I don't know, Buck, you want to do yellow over there? You want to do 1 red, 1 green? We'll take it. We'll take it. Like I said, this has been a blast this summer. Thank you guys for all of your comments, your suggestions for guests, all of that good stuff. Stick around with us, though. We ain't going anywhere. Every single Friday night throughout the NFL season, we are going to have our favorite hidden gems, our favorite plays to scroll the F down for in these Battle Royale contests. I had 2 teams finish top 10 in a week last year. Feel like I have a very good grasp on how to tackle this contest, and I'm excited to share my thoughts each and every week. So make sure you guys are still subscribed to the channel. You guys have been awesome. And yeah, we're just getting started here, and we will see you guys next time in the Deposit Kingdom. Peace.